Welcome back, everybody, to the Predictive Playbook for Friday afternoon. It's about 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. Actually, about 4:45 right now Eastern Standard Time, and we're winding down our Fridays for a temporary break before we go back to work. That's the way it is this time of year, you know. So it's been one hell of a week for sure. You know, last night with the Yankees situation was so almost like stunning to me. Like, what? But, you know, the world goes on. And I don't think it's really going to be a major thing going forward anyway. But welcome to the show, Steve, Rob, Tony. Before we came on the air, we were making fun of my golf game because of my age. But I'm already on the A team of WagerTalk, and, you know, you guys don't even know that. When we go out to Vegas, I'm playing with those studs because they asked me to.
You're definitely, I'm not making fun of your golf game at all, by the way. I haven't probably played golf in 15 to 17 years. I think I've broken 100 once. So I know my limitations when it comes to golf.
That is an interesting stat you just said. If the amateur golfer, especially the amateur male golfer, actually counted all his shots, the out-of-bounds shots, no mulligans, put everything out, they wouldn't break 100.
No question.
I still do a good job of hitting drivers. Driver off the tee. I hit them at 4-year-olds or fourth graders at 100 miles an hour.
With that transition, I will say when we do the Sports Memo WagerTalk.com company softball team, I'm hitting a line drive at Tony Finn. And Tony, I'm telling you right now, you can't hide.
Please,
maybe in the dugout.
Promises.
If you're right bench, if you're left out or right bench, maybe those two positions you can hide. But if you're in that infield, my man, I am finding you with a line drive with your name on it.
It will be the best rush I've had since they outlawed Quaaludes.
And I might not tell you to get down like I told the fourth graders.
I just hope and pray that I'm on the tee and about 270 yards to my left and out of bounds. Is the softball field that you guys are going to be playing on, and there's Tony Finn standing in left field with his back of his head facing me.
This is a
I'm going to say
day.
I want Rocky, Rob, and John Ryan, and I'll give you guys the next 6 picks. I get those 3, I'll give them the next 6 picks.
We don't need
See that, Rob?
I'm a happy camper. I'm going to do that
Finn.
actually, a 2-for-1 draft trade. I'll take Rob, John, and I'll take Rocky. Rocky's my number 1 without a doubt. We did NASCAR Live for the Fast Lane yesterday, and he'd hustled back from the baseball field to record.
You can't hit my wiffle softball. That baby, I got like a 18-inch horizontal move on that. That
Tony, you do have slow pitch softball pitcher written all over you, though. I could see.
No,
that.
I don't play slow pitch.
You're the Henry Winkler.
No slow pitch. No slow pitch. Fast pitch or nothing.
Nice.
That's fine.
Is that, I mean, out there in Vegas, is that like the difference between unlimited arc and regular arc?
No, see, in fast pitch, you have the ability to handle egos and ethics. If some guy gets out of line, we don't even throw underhanded. We throw overhanded. At him, you know. Then at the plate,
and it becomes baseball.
The world stays. The earth stays in its rotation.
I was on a state championship fast pitch softball team.
Yeah.
And you know where the championship game was played in the state of Pennsylvania?
Let me guess. Temple University.
Probably the Little League field, right? Where the Little League plays? World
Fredericksburg,
Series?
Maryland.
Okay.
Somehow.
Hold on. Did you say the Pennsylvania championship?
How was Fredericksburg,
Yes.
Maryland, and Pennsylvania? We're going to be here a while getting that one.
It was quite an event, but apparently Pennsylvania, I think it was USSSA, as Rob was talking earlier, includes some of the. It's not like state bound. It's just called Pennsylvania because most of the teams are from there. But all I can tell you from that experience was that when we arrived, and we're all guys in our 20s, there was a guy pulled up in a pickup truck that looked like it was not from the state of Maryland. All right? A little beat up, you know, some of that Missouri music, I guess.
Ozarks.
I think it might have been the band called the Ozarks, actually. Yeah.
Columbia, Missouri.
And this guy was huge. He had to be 6'9". He gets out of this pickup truck. Beer cans, you know, his feet when he gets out of the pickup truck are dragging the empty beer cans onto the ground. So we're scared
I like
to death.
him already.
We're scared to death he's an umpire. So, like, I never saw a physical guy like, I mean, it was like being at an NBA game. The guy was huge. it turned out that he was the ace pitcher on a team called the Angels.
Hell's Angels.
I thought you were going to say it
And-
turned out he was a backstop, but go ahead.
And we faced them in the first game. Now, talk about a bad seed. And I, honest to God, the only time I've ever hit a home run, and I'm right-handed, and I never saw the ball.
Yeah.
I never saw the ball. He was so big, and when he came at you, because you're allowed to almost jump in fast pitch versus what girls do. And I like the NCAA version a lot better, but that's the only thing I remember, and it was we won 2-1 in that game. But you couldn't. I don't know how fast he was throwing, but you had to start swinging yesterday to be able to even foul it off. And when you fouled it off, it actually hurt.
Yeah.
Stung.
Slow pitch sounds pretty good to me for the Sports Memo Wager Talk
Nothing,
softball game.
no better wake-up call than getting hit by a softball that's coming at you about 75, 80 miles an hour. It's like it's invigorating. It's like jumping into an ice-cold puddle of water, pool of water. It's a beautiful thing.
Did he say it's invigorating?
Invigorating.
I usually lose my breath and can't breathe for about 15 minutes.
Exactly. You get one of those balls in the ribs and
Hey, John, I was just trying to think of a term. We're going to switch subjects. I was trying to think of the word of the day for Tony Finn. And when, I don't know why this one just came to me, but this is a good one. So I'm going to throw it out now while I'm still here. Our financial term of the day. And by the way, last Friday, Tony, Doji was fantastic. That was actually
Thank you.
Pleasantly, surprisingly great definition. I don't know if Rob was still here for the definition. A doji is like a candle that's like the opening and closing price is pretty much, it looks like a plus sign. But Tony's answer, which was a great answer, is it's where the Karate Kid trains, the doji. So, I mean, that was definitely as good. So, I don't know why this one just came to me. Might be because the word golden is in it, John, and I can only imagine where we're going to go with this. But
Golden Cross.
the Golden Cross, exactly right, John Ryan. The Golden Cross, Tony Finn, I throw it to you. The Golden Cross is a technical charting term. I'll give you that hint.
yes.
It's kind of like the spelling bee. We're going to give you like a word of origin or a hint or something.
Yes.
So, Golden Cross, and I need the definition in financial terms, please.
Well, the definition of financial terms would be the trader that lied to the client, and so it's difficult, but they can't nail him to the Golden Cross.
Oh, you were going on the right. You could have said he like double crossed the client. I thought that's where you were going.
I
with
like that better.
And
I
he
missed
takes all the
that.
gold.
Wow.
That would have been fantastic. I'm glad you kept it clean, though. We're 2 for 2. That's 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
It's
Actually,
the
Rob,
Christian.
I'll throw it to you, Rob. Your guess on what this is a technical pattern on a chart. The Golden Cross.
Honestly, guys, you came to the wrong guy. I'm just glad Tony didn't involve Kansas water sports with his definition.
Exactly right, Rob. I really think we need to cut our wins short here on this one.
Right.
It
So
does
it's
sound like
when,
a religious term, though.
It's what the 50 and 200-day moving average, right, John?
Yep, when they cross.
It's a kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy nowadays. It's when a short-term 50-day moving average of the last 50 prices that crosses over the 200-day. If it goes down, you go short. If it's up, it means it's rising.
That's a lot of
faster,
crosses.
and it's bullish.
That's a lot of crisscrossing.
Yeah, but why the golden in front of it? Is there something special about
Because
it?
it makes a
just
lot
the
of money.
kind, that's just the kind people have adapted to, and it's almost become a self-fulfilling prophecy now within the financial markets. It can kind of it'll
I
move
knew.
prices on its own, whether it really does anything or not. It's secondary.
I
It's-
knew there was a crucifixion.
So you'll a
involved.
lot of times see prices jump on whatever market that is when that occurs. It's a bullish indicator if the 50 is above the 200. That means the short-term momentum is faster than the long-term,
That was
or vice
racist.
versa. If it goes,
Polish.
it's actually only the Golden Cross, John, at the 50 is rising above the 200. Is it the Death Cross if it's the 200 crossing the 50? I believe.
The death cross is the 50 crossing the 200, and that was a little bit different though, because there the 200 is so slow, it's going to be positively sloped when the 50 crosses down over
Most
it. So
likely.
the 50 is negative, going like this. You have to wait till actually the 200 gets to be flat. Then it's bear market time.
It'd be like looking at a team, guys. I mean, obviously, like baseball would probably be the only sport you could do it, because we have a lot of games. But it'd be kind of like charting a 10 and 20 game sample of a baseball team, and their last 10 is worse than their previous 20, and they're trending down, or vice versa, an indicator that they're trending up their last 10. So it does have some correlation to the sports world. I don't think a lot of people use it for that, though. But it'd be interesting to look at.
I do.
You do?
I don't use it. I don't use 50 and 200 day though. But that's one of the things we're gonna segue ourselves into after the Wager Talk Today show.
We talked
Steve
a little
Merrill's
bit of
definitely he's my new best friend. There's no question about it. And
I'm John's hype man. I'm your hype man, John. I'm your hype man.
Yep. And the Prez even spoke favorably about me. I mean, it was.
Yeah, it's like
Tony,
everything with the Prez. It's a backhanded compliment. You think he's about to rip you, and then he ends up saying, you realize he's actually complimenting you. Rob
he did. He did say he started out that statement that was so flattering with, Steve Merrill, he's going to have to tone it down. But then I'm thinking like, what? I couldn't have been at any higher level overview than what I just did.
Yeah, no, you covered it fine, and I think he wanted to.
But then he
himself
was actually saying something positive. So
yeah, I don't think it was that. Unless I've gotten really good at understanding this stuff, maybe I don't think it was that deep in the weeds as far as financial jargon goes.
Steve Merrill's on the NASCAR show on Wager Talk with Rocky Atkinson and a few other guys. Names Steve can say. But
Andy Lang, and Rocky.
Is it brown nosing that I'm wearing the Goodyear Racing shirt today?
I saw that, John. I actually wanted to mention that earlier. I was impressed by that. You had the Titleist hat on yesterday. Press kind of made fun of that, actually, somewhat. But, yeah, I like the Goodyear. I did see that. I was going to ask you if there's a story behind that. That's pretty sharp.
And before we get to the games,
the
first question of the show. Now, I'm getting good at this rapid-fire humor because now I do these shows. I don't realize how many people could be watching or listening. Mm-hmm. So I'm more relaxed, more myself, more like Tony Finn.
I don't know.
So the Prez says, John Ryan, how did he say it, Steve? I can't say it because I can't talk about myself. But he asked about my IQ. If I ever took an IQ test.
Over 80.
Which I have. But then right on the spot, I said, no, I actually never took one, Prez, because Tony Finn's is higher, so why would I want to take a IQ test when I know that I'm not going to be higher than Tony Finn?
It's cultural bias, anyway. Too much cultural bias.
Prez had a good follow-up, though. He said, we're talking about IQ number high, not high as in high off of ludes. That's actually what Prez said, just so you know, Tony.
Edibles, he said. Edibles.
Edibles, you're right. I'm sorry. It was edibles. He
was very polite about it.
Yeah.
That damn coma edible. Woo!
And then Prez said, can you imagine John and Tony, I think, in the same room or on the same show? I go, well, actually, you could see that basically Monday through Friday right here. And Rob Veno's normally stuck in the middle. So I did give Rob a shout-out yesterday when that came up. So I was thinking of you, Rob. I was feeling for you.
I get in the middle of a lot of things, Steve.
Yeah. I don't get in the middle. I'm either on top or on bottom, not in the middle.
I like that. Bottom is no good. Bottom is no good.
Especially on Mondays on Wager Talk to NBA Tip-Off, Rob, when you had to follow me on every intro. I was in the middle. I was Merrill in the middle, and then Rob was the third guy to do the intro.
Right.
My goal every Monday for the last 3 months is just to make Rob giggle uncontrollably before he comes on. So $3.
There's a golf tournament going on.
$4.50 Monday.
Is it? No, it's not. It's
more
dark.
Golf.
There's
It's
There's
dark.
a baseball game
it's dark
going
in
on.
Scotland.
And they do best of four aggregate like European soccer does. They don't take a day off between games like the NBA does. Or a week off like the NFL does. These men, in difficult conditions with bright sunny skies for some reason in Sandwich, England, are actually playing golf every day.
Oh, golf. Well, it's a pretty physical game. That damn cross-check with that driver, that Bertha, is a bitch,
Don't get me started. I'm telling you, you walk 18 holes and caddy or no caddy, you're going to be tired.
We used to walk
Tournament golf is exhausting.
Uphill all the way around the course. It was uphill all the way around the damn
sometimes course. Sometimes it snows.
Well,
and you have to carry on because there's no lightning. But looking at the leaderboard, it is a good feel story. Louis Oosthuizen.
It's about time he's going to win a major.
He's kind of taking control. Well, he's won. I mean, it's not that bad. You can say that you won the Grand Slam second place.
Yeah.
It's not all bad. I mean, Jack. You know how many times Jack Nicklaus came in second in majors?
Never. He won them all.
No.
Oh.
He won 18 majors, but how many times did he come in second? Is my
probably
question.
1,800 times.
Well, get rid of the 18 or the 100 part, and you're right. 18 times.
No kidding.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. He won 3 Open championships, and they were all in Scotland, not one in England.
Wow.
And nobody since Tony Jacklin in '74, being an Englishman, has won on English soil. And I don't see many Englishmen here within range of Oosthuizen right now, unfortunately for them. But
Steve Merrill.
That was
Is he
my
English?
golf game.
Merrill in the middle.
Steve
Peaky
Senior, not
Blinders?
Steve Junior.
John Rahm had a really good day. He was 6 under today. That's only 2 off the all-time record for a major. But Oosthuizen also shot.
Where are they playing at this year? I'm sorry. Where are
Royal
they playing?
St. George's.
Pretty
in
windy.
Sandwich, England.
No wind there. No
There
wind
wasn't.
that
There was
part of
wind
the-
today, but the course was very benign. So
That's
the
weird.
scores were
Then
pretty low.
That is low. What's typical? I mean, Open typical even par, 2 over, 2 under, right in there, right?
The last time it was played here it was -5.
That's pretty good. That's
So I mean, the leader right now is -11 in Oosthuizen.
wow.
And that's the thing with Open Championship golf is that if you don't get the weather, you can go low. It's still a very difficult course. You know, the average golfer would have a nightmare at Royal St. George's, no question about it. It's a par 70 and it's 7,200 yards, and the ball will roll out on those fairways, but still, for the average golfer, that's a monster long length. Even par 72 that long for the single-digit handicapper can be very, very challenging. So they're really doing pretty well here. I wanted to see what the cut line was. I thought it was going to be even. +1 made it. Almost +2. Top 65. Well, wait a minute. It looks like there's close to 80 golfers that made the cut because there was like 15 of them made it at +1. So at even par, there was only 53 golfers better at even or better. That's why they went to +1, and there was a whole bunch of them, including Ricky Fowler and Bryson. Bryson DeChambeau makes it on the cut. But anyway, I can tell you guys really are impressed with this. So what do you want to talk about next? You want to talk about Game 5? Or do you want to talk about the Yankees situation? Or
Hit it, Tony.
Whatever you guys say. Whatever you
Ben
guys.
Simmons?
I'm in. Ben
3
Simmons.
straight doubles by
Let's-
the Marlins.
Yeah.
what's the score of that game?
3-2. Phillies.
Phillies.
I like the
was 3-0.
Phillies today. I like the Phillies today.
I'm on the
Didn't play.
Marlins. Sorry.
I like the. You want to talk about some? Listen, if you like.
Alcantara.
Well, yeah, Alcantara's. Listen, Alcantara could run support. He'd be an all-star.
I
Okay,
think he
let's
changed his name again because everybody's calling him Alcantara on the year now.
Alcantara.
So I never
Well,
know. I mean, his name, in all honesty, his last name pronunciation has changed
Are you listening to the
about 4 times in the last
Spanish
3
channel?
years. Not the Spanish channel, no. No. There was the Miami home announcers, as a matter of fact.
Well, then they should know, shouldn't they? Right. So we've been mispronouncing his name. That's obvious.
Yeah,
college-
it's crazy, Tone, because it seems like they were pronouncing it. That's the way I thought it was 2 years ago. But then I heard more pronunciation the other way, Alcantara. Now I don't know. It doesn't matter. We know who he is. It doesn't matter.
What college football player and eventual NFL Super Bowl champion
Patrick Waugh.
changed the pronunciation of his name in college? And I'll give you another clue. I'll probably give it away because
What was the question again? What college?
What former NFL Super Bowl champion player, when he was a college football player,
Joe Theismann.
There you go. Yeah, you knew where I was going with that. And I was going to say, because he wanted to win the Heisman, but that would give it away. The clue I was going to do before that was he eventually started as a kick returner in the Canadian Football League before becoming a Super Bowl quarterback. But yeah, it was Thiesman back in the day, apparently.
Yeah, Thiesman.
Yeah.
It's good.
Where did he play? Notre Dame, right?
He was a Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yes, he was a Notre Dame guy.
Another guy like Riggins, though, all seriousness, another guy like Riggins, very fast. You know, he was a little bit of a scramble quarterback, especially for back in the 80s, obviously. But he was a Canadian Football League kick returner before he finally got a shot in the NFL, which is pretty remarkable.
He was a absolute regular at the Mirage Sportsbook every day.
Yeah, I knew he was somewhat of a Vegas guy, so that's not surprising.
When I was back in it would have been early '90s, but he was retired long, but saw him every day at the Mirage, every day.
He's actually an investing guy. You know, John, I've seen him on CNBC over the years talking finances and stuff, and I've always liked Theismann. He's a mouth, but he's not a dummy,
he could
though.
talk.
He is, but I actually thought he was a pretty good color analysis actually on the Sunday night games back in the day. I did not mind him as much as others.
To answer the question about the correct pronunciation, I went to the Bible, the baseball reference. .com. And it's pronounced Alcantara.
All right.
So that guy should be fired.
Yeah,
well, unless
there
it's
you go.
been changed, but yeah, that's strange.
Well, how are they pronouncing it?
Alcantara. Actually, it's AL-KON, all capitals. That would be the enunciation where you put emphasis on that. Alcantara.
Oh, that was good. Do that again.
Alcantara.
Make him do it again.
Sounds like a terrorist organization.
I feel they just threw up. He's ARB eligible in 22, free agent in 25.
Well,
maybe the Sixers could get him.
I think let me check on this for you guys. But who likes the Mets? Who likes the Mets offensive? Who likes the Mets lineup as is? Who likes it?
I like the Mets to win the World Series if they can make the playoffs.
What's that?
The GM?
Well, I don't think anyone likes the lineup, but
J.D. Davis is back tonight, right?
Who do you like? Who's going to stand in front of the prop that? What's the over/under on DeGrom hitting the IL and missing the rest of the season? And I'm not trying to jinx him. I'm just saying DeGrom is always hurt. He should be a Yankee. The Yankees have 5 players on IL at all times. In fact, if they fall below that, they just throw somebody on there because they have to have somebody hurt all the time. Am I wrong?
So do the Dodgers.
Yeah, but DeGrom's always hurt. He's always. And I'm not saying it was serious, but he comes out of every start with something's hurt. He's tweaked something, or we pulled him because he missed a step. He missed his plant foot missed the spot by an inch, and we can't have this. We had to pull him out of the game. It's true. Listen,
playoffs.
Strasburg and DeGrom, two talented guys, but two guys that are treated like a 4-year-old in one of those Nazi batting practices. They had to.
I didn't know they played baseball then.
Yeah.
What about Syndergaard? He's been hurt for ages.
Oh, well, that's again, Syndergaard's number, but DeGrom and Strasburg is hurt again. He's hurt again. He's always hurt. Always hurt.
Strasburg is done as far as I'm concerned. He's the non-factor for me going forward.
But DeGrom they're pretty careful, and understandably, guys, but it seems like every start he didn't finish the game because they were worried about something technical, something mechanical, something he does, and they're worried about him. They're worried about him a hangnail. They obviously serious stuff. But the Mets need DeGrom. Who are the Mets without DeGrom? They are.
That division's fascinating, though. You got the Mets at negative run differential leading the division.
Yeah.
You got the Marlins dead last with the second best run differential, and the only other team other than Atlanta that's positive in that division.
Yeah.
there again, that's why it's hard for me to play the Mets at 9-1 to win the World Series right now when they might not even win the division. But they win that division, they get in the playoffs. They're going to be tough if DeGrom is healthy against anybody. I sure would not want to face them.
What if Philly wins that division? What if Philly wins that division? Let's say that their bullpen overperforms. That Nola comes back to who he was, who's always been instead of who he's been lately, and that Wheeler is Wheeler, and they have another Thursday. What happens? Do you know what the odds are right now?
In the playoffs, that's what happens.
What's that?
They get bumped to whoever they play in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, we've said that. You remember a couple years ago in 2019 when Washington won the World Series, they were like 19 and 35, 36, and I remember talking so badly about saying this team can't stay healthy, they can't hit the ball. Next thing I know, I'm playing them to sweep the Cardinals in the NCAA, and they did. And they go on to win the World Series.
Yeah, because they had Scherzer and Strasburg and Gonzalez going all 7 games in any series. I mean, the Phillies don't even have anybody like Scherzer or Strasburg. So
Phillies? Wheeler.
Oh,
maybe,
Wheeler.
yeah,
Listen,
I guess
you don't
so,
think
but...
Wheeler and you don't think Nola's capable of throwing a? Yeah, I think so.
Scherzer and Strasburg during that World Series team were as good as almost anybody in the league that year. So I mean, that's why the Mets with DeGrom and Stroman, who I think has been pretty good, and that's why my pick, as Rob knows, the Brewers. With Burns and Woodruff, and then Peralta, actually, is like the Gonzalez. In that
They got to score. They got to score.
But the Brewers can win the division still without having to score, and then in the postseason, I don't think it's as much of an issue. I can see the Phillies winning the regular season because I think offensively they can do it. But, man, I'd be lining up to play them in the postseason. I think everybody would.
What are the odds? You know what the Phillies' odds are? If they win the division, if you can get the Phillies at plus 7,000 to win the World Series, now I'm embellishing, I think, but
well, they're plus 375 to make the.
They're about 50 to 1, I think,
playoffs.
for the World Series.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. For a team that can win that division can be won by Philly. If you got Philly at 50 to 1 right now, call me the hedgehog because I'm making some money when we get to the playoffs. I totally
agree, but you better be the hedgehog because I don't think they're going to win the World Series. So you're basically betting they make the playoffs. I got you. That's not a bad way to play it if you think they make the playoff. It's a better way to play it. Instead of playing to win the division odds, I do agree the 50 to 1 is a much better bet, and you hedge it then. I agree, as opposed to maybe, 7 to 1 to win the division. In fact, I'll pull it up. Rob and I were talking about this last week.
It's 55 to 1.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
55 to 1. They're the same as Cincinnati. So what kind of odds do I get Cincinnati and Philly in the NLCS?
Well, I'll tell you what, after this weekend, I'll let you know in Cincinnati because they just cut a couple games off the 6-game lead last week, and they're back by 4, and now they're playing Milwaukee for another 3. So we'll know a lot more after this weekend.
We're talking about a team that gave their bullpen away in the offseason, and they can't field the ground ball. That's why I don't like the Reds mostly. Let's see what they do. Maybe they'll make a couple of moves that would change my mind, but
70 to 1 at FanDuel for the Phillies. That's what we were looking at last week.
That's what I thought. That's what
And the Phillies are 6 to 1 to win the East.
That's a pretty good price
on it. Mets at minus 260. I wish they'd let you take the other side at plus 220 because that's ridiculous. They've got a negative run differential. That division is wide open as we're talking about. Braves at 7 to 1 would be my pick, to be honest. I mean, of all the teams there, Braves at 7 to 1 have the best run differential. They're proven don't forget they had a lead on the Dodgers in the NLCS last year.
Yeah, but they don't have anybody healthy, and they can't. The bullpen sucks.
Yeah, it's true,
dude.
I mean,
that injury's a death blow to them. That's probably why the odds have dropped. That is true.
Well, and they just put Ian Anderson on the injured list too.
Yes.
And last year, Ian Anderson was a godsend.
Yeah, got to throw. He can't sing anymore.
Yeah, that takes away his Rookie of the Year possibility too.
Yeah, they're just
album
Speaking
sales.
of awards, Rob.
Yeah,
Zach Wheeler is 22 to 1, and we've been talking about this all week. Every single show that I've had this week, whether I was a guest or a host, it's come up. The Reds have come up, and Zach Wheeler at 22 to 1. If DeGrom goes down, he has to jump over Brandon Woodruff, which is very possible, and of course Kevin Gausman, who I believe pitches tonight against that.
He does. Yes.
Actually, it's not Adam Wainwright; it's somebody else. But anyway. I think that's doable.
It was what? Did they take Wainwright out?
I thought so.
I'm looking.
thought, but maybe if
He
you
changed
put him
some
back
stuff on
in.
me. It's Wainwright. It's Gosman and
Yeah,
Wainwright.
okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm showing Wainwright.
Which is, let me tell you right now, who's not minus 126? What the hell? What is this about? It opens to 165. What am I missing here, guys?
I like the over quite a bit, so that probably answers your question too.
Well, I get Gosman at $1.25 against Wainwright, and the St. Louis Cardinals who can't hit Steve Merrill.
You can't hit me, man. I was working on my knuckleball last night. If I get this knuckleball down, I'll tell you right now, guys, if I can get this knuckleball down, I'm going to be
What
dangerous.
kind of coach throws knuckleballs to his team of 12-year-olds?
The same guy that shoots 100-mile-an-hour batted
So-
balls at him.
That was
that
last
says,
night.
"Stay
That
down
was
on
last
it,
night.
kid.
But
Stay
on
down on
Tuesday
it."
night, I ripped a couple, and then the third one I got thrown to me was a knuckleball. And John, I honestly almost pulled my back hamstring because it really was. It didn't move. It was just more of a changeup because it came in so much slower. And man, I loaded and I held back, and I had literally almost pulled my hamstring holding back on that knuckle, and I missed it big time. It is a
You
cool
done-
pitch, though. It's a cool pitch.
Yeah, we'll try the. I should have a baseball here. The knuckle curve pitch
Knuckle
is
curve
a
is an
two-seamer.
easy pitch to throw. One of the easiest
Right,
pitches.
and you
to
tuck
throw.
in this finger on the ball. Can you see what I'm doing?
Yeah, I got to pull it in.
And you
here.
throw
Okay.
it just like a two-seamer. And it's such a great pitch.
It's hard.
It's great for
hard to command.
12-year-olds. It's great for 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
great,
that one
you know.
I have not tried. I'll have to do that one. I appreciate
It's hard to
it.
It's-
command, but
The kids will love that pitch.
Awesome.
They will love that pitch. And
Mike
trivia.
Musina threw that. The pitch
Yep.
is the best I ever saw him throw. Mike Musina.
Clayton Kershaw, Madison Bumgarner.
Nah, Mike Musina. Mike
Yeah, but I
Mussina.
mean the other guys that are current that actually.
Oh yeah,
throw
yeah,
it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He's back tonight. Bumgarner's back tonight.
Yes, he is, and
Don't
healthy.
get Tony started on that. I saw the notes in the MLB first pitch thread.
Yeah. It's an awful good price on Arizona's a play on. If they're a dog at home in this matchup against a team that is hitting 200 over the last month and is selling everybody, you never know. Baez may sit tonight. All of a sudden, you're on the Cubs, and all of a sudden you find out Baez and 3 or 4 other players are not playing because they're all in trade talks, and you got the Cubs at minus 140 with Steve Merrill pitching.
There you go. Bang it.
Damn knuckle curve. Well,
Bang
but
the
Steve's
book.
allowed to use that. He's allowed to use that Area 51 bat, though.
Yeah.
That will-
I would probably actually be a submarine pitcher. If I had to pitch one big league game, I would just take my chances with the sidearm stuff. And
Who's the best submarine pitcher ever? Quisenberry, maybe?
well,
Yeah.
that was the one growing up for me that
Jacoby.
sold me on it. Jacoby probably had a better
yeah.
career, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Jacoby.
Quisenberry's the guy I always think of though from
Yeah.
my youth.
And there's a guy in Moneyball too. Pitched for the Oakland A's. I mean, his hand almost hit the ground.
Yeah, these Asian guys. There's a couple of these Asian guys.
Yeah.
They literally the Japanese guys, the Korean guys really hit the ground. Like I don't know how they're not scraping their hands. Like that's their style. I've got a guy I went to high school with, Javier Lopez, just retired.
Yeah.
He was on the Red Sox and the Giants World Series teams. Left-handed
Great.
middle reliever, would throw like 3 pitches. He went to Virginia, University of Virginia, and he actually threw overhand. And in minor league baseball, at least the story I've heard, I haven't seen him for decades, but he apparently in the minors, it wasn't at UVA, it was after UVA in the minors. In fact, I met the guy that caught him at a wedding years ago. It was his catcher at UVA, and he told me that apparently he wasn't switched to a sidearm, almost submariner until minor league baseball, and it saved his career. And he eventually got to the big leagues, I believe with the Rockies initially, and then hopped around, won some titles with the Red Sox, the Giants. But man, you talk about a career. The guy pitched to his like late 30s, would literally throw. He has the best stat line to ever go look at, like on Baseball Reference or whatever. It'd say like games appeared, like 60 games, innings pitched 34 for like the season. I mean, it's like twice as many games pitched as innings pitched. You're living
Lefty
right, man.
specialist.
It is.
Was
It's
he a
like a
left-hand-
long
was-
snapper, but even
was he
better. It's like better
left-handed?
than being a long snapper in
Yeah.
the NFL.
Was he left-handed?
Because he was a
Lopez
lefty
was
and he was coming in
left-handed, yeah.
sideways as a lefty,
Yeah.
and it's so difficult to get used to that in the middle of a game.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this: he got in and out at the right time because with this new rule in baseball,
Right. You'd
they're
have to
kind of
face
eliminating guys like him. So he's a
Yeah.
little bit lucky in that regard.
Yeah,
Lefty specialist is gone.
sure really is.
Ted Abernathy, Tony Finn.
Yeah, Ted Abernathy, too. Funny, that's Quisenberry. Both Abernathy and Quisenberry were both Royals, so Kansas City Royals. And
Brad
listen,
Ziegler?
I don't trust those guys. I trusted Quisenberry. you could trust he was going to throw a strike. But there's a lot of guys who throw submarine or sidearm right now that I just don't trust them. If you bring them in and I'm on, and I'm just gonna cover my eyes, and say a couple prayers because I don't trust them.
Whatchamacallit's brother, right? Trevor Rogers' brother, Taylor Rogers is submarine. Brad Ziegler pitched for the Diamondbacks a few years ago. Almost touched the ground with it. There've been a few guys.
I think it's more the novelty, obviously, as a reliever coming in. Same thing with like a guy like Chapman throwing as hard as he does coming in. It's that all factor, throwing the guys off a little bit. But it'd be very interesting, Rob, like as we always talk about, you get 3 or 4 at-bats or you second time that season against a guy. It's a different ball game. Chapman, of course, he'd be unhittable if he could control the fast, the off-speed. But he obviously had huge control problems most of his career. So that's another reason you can't have him going 6 or 7 innings. But he was a starter in Cuba and when he first came over. 105.1, still the fastest ever thrown.
The Cuban Missile.
That guy's insane. So they did. I saw this one thing on him. He had so little control in Cuba that they projected when he came. They projected his numbers against an MLB lineup, and I think he had like a 33% walk percentage or something against an MLB line or something. That's how little control he had coming over initially. So you can see why some teams weren't like jumping at him to pay him millions. I mean, he was.
Well, I mean, you guys have all played baseball. You guys have all played baseball. The thing about a two-seamer. A two-seamer is or a four-seamer is that how hard is it to command a pitch that you're basically rolling off? I mean, you're just winding up, throwing as hard as you can, and rolling it off your fingers. That's tough to command, especially if you're throwing 100 miles an hour.
Listen, it took Randy Johnson forever to figure it out. It took Sandy Koufax forever to figure it out.
Yeah,
man.
That's why you throw the four-seamer.
Well,
four-seamer doesn't run.
Yeah, the way the ball rotates is more straight too. Just because the 4 laces. Yeah, so I mean it's. But Contreras is interesting. Also, he has a huge torque in his windup, and there is obviously the more motion you have, there's more room for things to go wrong, and he's very long, long arm, long legs, long torque. So yeah, it's a lot of things can go wrong when there's more motion. That's what I always tell the kids.
Unless you're Luis Tiant, where everything should go wrong and it doesn't go wrong.
Turn your whole back on the hitter.
Yeah.
Steve, how old are your kids on your team?
9-10 range right now.
Their hand might not be quite big enough yet.
They're basically doing a 3-finger 4-seam for the most part instead of a 2-finger like the pros do.
And I still to this day don't know why they call it a 4-seam because you're actually only touching the one seam sometimes with a 4-seam.
Well, it's the rotation. The 4 seams rotate, I believe. Although it's tricky for me too, and like the kids don't understand it either. But screw it. I do have one.
They seem awful young to be worried about 4-seam.
This one just came back from the Tony Finn house, so it's still in a baggie, as you can tell.
What is it?
It's chocolate candy. Yes, I mean the 4-seam. You hold it this way, so it rotates 4 seams.
Is that that's a
white chocolate? That actually might be right.
That is why. So a 2-seam. You're gripping it this way, and you're only getting 2 seams. The 4-seam, which is confusing for the kids, you're gripping it over the seams, but what makes it more accurate is it does it aerodynamically, it's straighter when the 4 seams.
Grab that baseball again. And
I'll bring one in without a baggie on it next time. This is a tee. This is actually a T-ball, which I never used, as you can tell. And I used it for one of my props on one of the baseball shows months ago.
Grab the ball like you would throw a 2-seamer.
So 2-seamer, you'd be coming across.
Okay. Now switch your fingers so that they're in line with the seams. In other words, go 90 degrees from where you are right now. There you go. That's actually how I was taught the 2-seamer, actually.
Yeah. Actually, that's...
Not trying to,
No, that
correct.
I don't have the guys throwing 2-seamers, so that very well might be right. I haven't really looked it up.
Because the seams then get that tailing... They create the tailing action. When you can throw it at a high spin rate.
The kids basically got to do 3 because their hands are too small. So it's kind of a mute point probably for a 2-seam. So that's another reason.
So put as a grown man, grab it as a 2-seamer. Now tuck your index finger in.
Well, both did tucked, right?
For the knuckle curve, you leave your middle finger on the seam and tuck the index finger in. That's it. That's it right there.
And but do you push or snap or roll?
You throw it. You the way it's told you throw it as hard as you can, just like you're throwing a fastball, and the way the ball comes off.
There's less
Your
fingers to
thumb comes
spin.
off first, then the knuckle comes off next, and then what happens with that third finger?
It would be
If you push down the third finger like you would throw a fastball, it's going to have that natural turn, and you can't throw a ball as fast with one finger as you can with two.
gotcha.
So batter, especially in the 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old group, they think it's fastball out of the hand. And that's the magic of the pitch at that age.
It's
you're
a
not
basic
doing
form
any
of
of
a
this crap
changeup.
with a curveball. And
Yeah.
But
It's an off-speed pitch. It doesn't necessarily jump around like a pro's knuckler, but it's the off-speed that gets it.
it just dies because of gravity. You let gravity be your friend, and I'm telling you, you teach
That's cool.
some of your kids in the future, they'll get strikeouts with the ball bouncing before the plate.
Oh, I got
I
you.
assure you.
That's a great two-strike pitch then.
Yeah, because they'll think it's fastball, and they'll swing
And
way
they're
out
going
in
to swing
front of it,
anything
and-
close. It's not hittable, so that's cool. Yeah, it's
and it does no damage to the arm. There's
I like it.
as long as you're not pronating like this, like as long as you stay with 9 and lower. Like when you throw a two-seamer, your thumb actually should be coming down almost into the ground. Naturally.
a good
It's when
good
you go
analogy
like
one of the
this,
umpires
it's
gave
when
us was
you get the Tommy John.
the cobra strike, like a cobra.
Yeah.
Cobra fangs. I thought that was a pretty good analogy. Tells the pitcher to bite the catcher with the cobra fangs. That was actually during one of our games this spring. One of the umpires mentioned that. I was like, that's a great analogy. My other coaches hadn't heard it either, so I love the feedback. The more the better. I wish I'd had this stuff 30-some years ago when I was playing.
Oh, I know.
I
Rob,
would
do
have
you
been all
have
over it.
time for a final round here?
Yeah,
Got about 90 seconds.
do it. Go, Rob.
We'll let you go first then.
How about if I'll look ahead real quick to tomorrow, guys, in the NBA Game 5. We didn't talk about it much here, but I'm going to be on Phoenix first half, minus the 2 points. They've been a great first half team through these playoffs. They are now 14 and 5, in the first half of these games. Milwaukee had been a good first half team at home. Phoenix got them the other night. But again, as I said earlier today, I think Chris Paul has a bounce-back game. I know there's a lot of talk about a wrist injury and there's some talk about old age and all these other things, but I firmly believe Chris Paul at home, to me, what's been a home court series the whole way, and looks to be a home court series throughout. I think we're going to see Game 7, and we'll see who can win that one in Phoenix. But for me, I think right out of the chute, Phoenix comes out strong. Milwaukee's role players have not shot well on the road. Drew Holiday now 3 out of 4 games shooting miserable for this team. I know a lot's talked about where he's playing such tough defense that it affects his offensive side. That may be true. But I like Phoenix, minus 2 points first half. So I'm going to leave you with that, and we'll show you guys a good weekend. Good luck. And
Hey,
Steve,
Robbie.
I will see. Tone, I'll probably see you tomorrow as well.
Yeah. See you in the morning.
Sirius XM.
Yep.
204.
John, have a good weekend, buddy. Take care.
You
Thanks
got it,
for
man. We'll
having
be
me.
listening. You got it anytime.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
So, yeah, I agree with everything he said. I absolutely do. And I'm looking at, I want to look at the player props here because you guys know I was on Middleton in PRA the last game, and that came through pretty good. I mean, what a tremendous game that guy played.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had him
just-
over 5.5 assists, and he would not give the ball up. So I didn't get my upset.
Yeah, actually, John, I took the contrarian
Yeah.
view for Game 5 on the NBA tip-off today. I took the under 25.5 for him. We'll see if he regresses. He had, I think, 18 and 11 the 2 games before that 40. So we'll see if there's a regression. I really think
33
it's more of a
shots.
Giannis having a big game scenario.
Yeah.
And he's 33.5. I always feel like, there's probably all these numbers are inflated now with these public U.S. books. So I'm always looking for unders whenever possible. So instead of Giannis over, I took Middleton under. But I think they're somewhat correlated. Giannis only had 26, by the way, with Middleton having 40. So it's hard to see them both going over or under, vice versa.
Yeah, I kind of like yesterday we had Tony Mejia on. He was we both were in agreement that either Holiday or Middleton was going to have to step up in Game 4 for them to win.
Sure.
One of them did. We didn't know which one. It happened to be Middleton. So I think in this game, though, I think you can play over with these two guys because Middleton's over 37.5 PRA.
Mm-hmm.
You're only paying 105 VIG. and that tells me here initially that there's more bets on the under on that number than the over. And Drew Holiday's 32.5 minus 105. So I think that's the lowest. You guys would probably know better than me. I think that's the lowest he's been in a while in the playoffs. Only 32.5. So maybe it'll be his turn to light it up.
It's funny. I've been looking for a reason to play Holiday over with that contrarian kind of, bounce back angle. But one thing that concerns me about him is I really do think he's their defensive shutdown guy now in either Booker or Paul. So that's another reason I'm a little worried about Middleton under. Worries me a little bit too, because I could see Giannis and Middleton both carrying him again if Holiday just goes defense. And that's the one thing that's kind of kept me off from looking for that Holiday over, which probably will occur at some point. And by the way, 37.5 was the triple for Middleton. And the reason I used under 25.5 points only instead of the triple in the show for the free play was because I just think you got to look for adjustments in these NBA series. And when a guy goes off like that, for these 2 days, the Suns are like, we're not going to let Middleton score 40 on us again. So I could see a situation like Tony liked in the last game where he gets more assists now. They double him, he has to offload it, or he's getting some rebounds. So I don't disagree with the 37.5. He could still go over that. I think the points is where they're going to have to look to shut him down. Because they're not going to worry about shutting him down on rebounds and assists, because that's not where he killed him in Game 4. It was with points. And that's just kind of how I approach these props. But nothing surprises me. Look, Chris Paul was just terrible in Game 4. Rob on WagerTalk today earlier actually liked him over. I know Tony on NBA Tip-Off was actually kind of leaning him under. Yep. And Tony brought up something that kept me from using that. Is I was actually looking at that as maybe my free play, Tony. You kept me off it with him maybe being injured. And that does concern me.
I think he is. Yeah, I think he is hurt. It's hard not to play over 2.5 turnovers, especially with Holiday giving 28 minutes to Chris. I don't see them changing that, guys. They were pretty successful at home. I know it's a different animal playing on the road, but they were successful with the majority of the minutes. Chris Paul was capturing Holiday, and it worked. So that's just
it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's the NBA's in a nutshell. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if you get burnt, then you look to double down on that guy, and it opens it up for someone else. And that's why the zigzag has worked over the years, just as far as handicapping games. I think it works with player props as well.
I'm going to add a third one. Drew Holiday, double-double plus 180. He only has to get 10 points. He only has to get 10 rebounds. He only has to get 10 assists, and then any 2 of the 3. He's also interesting enough. He's the favorite on the triple-double list. And the triple-double list has 3 Milwaukee Bucks and then Chris Paul. Which is, he had a game where he had no rebounds. I don't know why they would even list him, actually, but...
Yeah.
So the other pick I have here real quick is who was on the NBA WagerTalk show today?
It was Tony, me, and Ski. We saw your angle there.
Yeah.
And was it liked or was it bashed or was it mediocre?
Too
Tony,
complicated.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Ski liked the over, right? So he disagreed, I think.
He did like the over. Well, not only that, he did like the over.
I actually have the wrong one up there. That's Game 4.
He didn't dislike your angle, John. I think he just disliked.
Yeah, that was the same one you had in Game 4, I think, where you're
no, it's a little bit different.
Okay.
But I can try to quickly bring it up here. Yeah, because I used a different background. There we are. So current NBA playoff game total is not more than 225. Series is tied. Favorites priced at 4 or more points. 36, 17, and 1.
There you go.
That's pretty simple. I say humbly, I would think everybody would understand that.
Yeah, the 4 or higher isn't too bad because that's a pretty broad range, and it tells me that we have a superior team in the game. I think you can make that logic, right? And that's because most likely they're the home team. So if it's more than 3, that means they're the better team, and it's a modest total where it's not just 2 bad defensive teams, and it's a tie series. And I do believe, by the way, in general, you see defense in games that matter. Playoffs are normally lower scoring across the board. Game 7s are normally lower scoring than others. Game 1s between Class A's used to be back in the day. So if a series is tied, neither team has taken the night off. So I think that favors defense. So I think it makes sense.
And real quick, because I know Steve probably has to go, but this has to do with Steve's coaching segment, which it really isn't a segment. It's kind of like bits and pieces throughout the show when he's here. But I have to maximize my time with him. So your kids are at the perfect age to ask this question. Kids, what's the best pitch in baseball?
I mean, I'd have
Strike one.
I'd have to say
Strike
any
one.
pitch, it's a strike, right? Although not necessarily, though. I don't know. I mean,
That is the correct answer. Strike one is the best pitch.
Strike
But
one.
your
Oh,
kids
strike-
are
yeah,
going to
yeah,
say
I see where you're going.
knuckleball, fastball, 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and it's going to be pretty fun for them to do that. And then when you say, no, kids, it's strike one, first pitch strike, they're going to go, oh, coach.
that's cool, though, John. You got me on that one. And that's something I know. And I watch these games, and I pointed out all the time that what a huge advantage these 0-2, 1-2 counts are.
Yeah.
That they basically are not even trying to throw a strike basically at that point. You're trying to trick the
Yep.
batter at that point. That's why that knuckle curve dropping in front of the plate has really intrigued me actually tonight. I appreciate it. But you're right. A first pitch
There's so
strike
many
is
times,
big.
too.
Because a lot of guys aren't always swinging at the first pitch. So it's a freebie, you know?
Yeah, there's sometimes, it was rare, but it was usually at tournaments like quarterfinals and on, where my assistant would call pitches. And this is, 12-year-olds and up. Usually like 14 years and up. And if you could see in the first two pitches that the hitter is overwhelmed, why screw around with them?
If it ain't
Blow
broke,
the-
don't
you know-
fix, right?
Right, just blow a fastball by them and because they're trained. Here in the Northeast, you're trained to go like 0-2, well, he's going to throw me a piece of junk. And I kid you not, down south, Florida, Texas, California teams, they have you 0-2, and you were nowhere close to catching up to that
you
fastball. You're going
finish
to
them
see
off.
another one.
Yeah, you don't take your foot off the gas pedal there.
Yep.
You just keep it coming. Yeah.
Because any type of breaking pitch is just speeding up the guy's bat. Even at the Major League Baseball level, I
Exactly.
sit in the room sometimes and I go, why did they just throw that?
Yeah, I was going to say the
Yeah.
difference is everybody in the pros can hit the fastball. Not everybody in the little league level can hit the fastball. So the last thing you want to do
True.
is throw them a knuckle curve or a changeup because then you're throwing at the speed that they can hit. So, yeah, every situation.
You'll find it's tremendous with the 3, 4, and 5 hitter and probably the lead off. And I always put lineups. I learned this from another coach. Oh, it's the boys of baseball coach. You put your two best guys, your two best hitters, 1, 2. And it's not for the first time through the lineup. It's for them to get the extra at bat.
Exactly.
In
Yeah,
case
no,
the
it's
game's 3-3.
mathematical. Yeah, I was just going to say it's a mathematical thing. They
Yep.
have a much better chance of getting up again than anybody else in the lineup. It's just, and you don't know how the game is going to play. That's interesting. Something we should talk about on another show because, you talk about putting the power guys at 3 and then 4 when we were growing up. Now you see them at 5 sometimes. You see them some at 2. And if you think about it, you don't know how the game's going to play out, especially in the American League, where the inning starts with the 7th or 8th hitter. So now all of a sudden your leadoff guy is your 3 hitter. Now I know this 8, 9 don't get on much, especially with the pitcher hitting, but they do in the pros. I mean, these guys can all hit. So, yeah, it's really like for the first inning only, you're taking that chance by putting them 3rd or 4th, and you might end up costing yourself an at-bat when the game is on the line in the 8th or 9th inning because they don't get up sooner. I even played with that idea of like putting the worst hitter 6th or 7th just to get them mixed into the lineup a little bit. But then again, I was like, damn it, I don't want them hitting more than they need to hit. So it's a cool concept. It's a mathematical thing, and I know you and I think a lot like that in life in general. So we'll have to
I
talk
kid
about
you
that
not.
sometime.
I agree 100%. If I was going up against a Garrett Cole or a Gausman or one of those top elite pitchers in the National League, my pitcher would bat 7th. And
Interesting.
I would take a chance that first 2 innings he's going to dominate, and I have a pitcher leading off. Or I'm lucky enough to get one man on base one of those first 2 innings, and then my pitcher makes the last out of the second inning because he's
Yeah,
batting
you
7th.
have to, and I think it'd be interesting to look too nowadays that guys don't go 7 or 8 innings anymore at all like they used to. They go basically 5, 5.5. So I wonder if that's changed the math on a number 9 hitter. Because obviously, ideally, you want your pitcher to finish the inning, and then you can pinch hit him when you want him out of the game anyway. So you would think with all the analytics they've run that, but nobody hits anybody other than 9th, which is really amazing. So I wonder
Tony
if
La
that's,
Russa played around with it. I know
Really?
that's Tony Finn's favorite coach of all time, I think. Right, Tony?
Yes, still
And
is.
even though he doesn't know the rules this
Right.
year, he did play around with that. He had a couple games where the pitcher did bat 7th. Most of the time it was 8. And he got scrutinized, but I could definitely see the logic because
hey, look, the NFL guys, these NFL guys definitely don't do what's mathematically right a lot of times with 2 points, fourth down.
Oh, they should get rid of those boards.
It's all career risk for them, John. It's the same reason these financial investors should not be long the S&P 500, because their career risk is already tied towards it, because all their clients are, like, if anything, these financial advisors should be short the S&P 500 as a hedge, because their business is much better when it's long and it's doing well, and they have tremendous career risk when the market corrects 40%. But nobody thinks that way, and it's the same thing with NFL coaches. It's a big coaching fraternity. They minimize risk worse than any other coach in any other sport, in my opinion. And they're never going to think outside the box. They're never going to risk doing something that looks unpopular if it doesn't work, even if going for 2 for the win at the end of regulation is the smart move. And some guys do it more now. But if you're the inferior team, if you're a 7-point underdog, you should always go for 2 at the end of the game and not do overtime. Because theoretically you have, a 40% chance of making the 2 winning the game. You have like a 30-20% chance of winning in overtime probably. So and that actually plays coach. when you should or not, when you should go for 4th and when you should go for 2 also depends on if you're the favorite or not. And no one ever talks about that, at all. Just like the onside kicks, you do that more when you're down, and when you're the underdog, you can't stop the other team. So it's a friend of mine, Kevin O'Neill, handicapper, back in the 90s with all of us. He used to say that there should be a strategy advisor on the sidelines, and he always thought handicappers would make a great role. Like you, John, you'd be great at that. Tony, you'd be pretty damn good too. I think Rob would also. It'd be like, look, guys, the chart might say you go for 2 now, but there's a ton of scoring still, so you don't, or you do it because it's a low-scoring game, or you're the underdog, and we need to petition for all of us at WagerTalk and Sports Memo to get hired by the 30 NFL teams for that role, because it would help. That'd be Moneyball for football.
Yeah, it was mind-boggling last year. Doug Peterson of the Eagles too. I mean, it was like, what did he just do? Even if I was watching a replay of it and I didn't see the game, it was just like, what? I mean, there's no mathematical formula in the world that would convince me that was the right move to make. Sometimes you have to have intuition, and a lot of these guys get so moneyballish. Who was the manager last year for the Phillies? Who's now the manager out west somewhere?
Dallas Green.
Nah. Well, anyway, he was purely Moneyball booked, and you can't manage a baseball game or any game at the professional level like that. You gotta have that gut feeling.
Yeah, and I mean the problem is too when Moneyball was great 30 years ago when it was under the radar, but when everyone starts using it, it's like anything. It's like any technical analysis or any systems and trends in sports. It gets to a point where it gets watered down if everyone's doing it. I actually think you could take an anti-Moneyball approach for the next 5 or 10 years and build a franchise and kind of do it like the Royals did 5 years ago when they came in under the radar, and now everyone's trying to hit home runs, get strikeouts. It's like an option attack in football. Like the Naval Academy has to do that because they're never going to get the big guys like Alabama gets, the Class A, star athletes. So they have to do something different to compete. And it works. I mean, they're able to have winning records. They're able to go to bowl games. They're not going to win a national title, but it's a lot better than going 3-8 every year. I think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, I agree. So that was my free pick analysis. We did under in Game 5, and that is a 4-unit play, by the way. That's not a freebie. That's a real one.
Nice.
They're all real. I mean, I didn't mean to say it like that. And then we have the player props. So what does Steve Merrill have for us? And I bet you it's not in golf.
Well, I used that free player prop on the show tonight just to have some for NBA. But I did just do a video before I hopped on a late night baseball play. I used the under 9 in the Angels-Mariners game. So you can see that right now on WagerTalk TV with some in-depth analysis. The Mariners are a play against team for me. I think they're phony. Their winning record is 5 above. They should be 11 below 500 based on run differential. But I'm not ready to fade them in this spot tonight. So instead of taking the Angels, I'm looking more at the total under 9. Flexen's also been a pretty good starter for them this year.
Look at Flexen's.
I do think big picture Mariners fade. We'll look at the under tonight.
Steve, look at Flexen's splits. The dichotomy from pitching at in T-Mobile compared to
Oh yeah, and
on the road.
Seattle's home ballpark this year. As a team, Seattle's hit
Right.
like $1.80 for the first couple months of the season. So
His
that's
his
another
ERA
reason.
his ERA is like $1.08, 1.8 at home, and about 6 on the road flexing.
Yeah, and I would lean Angels tonight. I don't disagree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Interesting money move though, Tony. It opened minus 160 down to one of 140. So 20
Well,
cent move on Seattle. But one of the reasons I stayed off the Angels though is that they are still really banged up. I think they could be a little bit of a
Yes.
sleeper in a couple months when Trout comes back. Rendon's
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. Is that what you're seeing? What about Rendon?
seeing.
We got Upton. I mean, what's your news on those
I mean,
guys? Tony?
Rendon's something else is wrong. I mean, even when he was playing, he wasn't producing. But I'm showing Trout could be back as early as tomorrow, and he has been running full speed at in his rehab. So I don't know. It depends on how. I guess it will all depend on what Madden thinks his chances are of being a wild card. I would suppose, right?
Yeah, and maybe that's why the line dropped 20 cents. Maybe they thought
so.
Trout had a chance of coming back tonight, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I can figure because I didn't see any other injuries that were new. But, yeah,
Well,
if you can get Trout and Rendon, Upton's been hurt. If you get these guys in the lineup, Seattle is actually 2 games ahead of L.A. in the real standings.
Yep.
But on run differential, L.A.'s 24 runs better. And they'd be about 3 games ahead of them in the expected one loss. So this made my short list. Angels a play on versus a play against. So I was initially looking at the Angels, but I think the under 9 a little bit safer, especially with that Anaheim lineup beat up and off the All-Star. Let's not forget these guys have been off for 4 days. I think that probably doesn't help the hitters either.
Yeah, I would have been. Listen, I would have been contrary to you. Probably, I would have been on flexing, but I can't play. I can't play him on the road. I mean, not the way he's pitched on the road. There's a big difference, And that's that venue, in Seattle. Listen, it gives up home runs, but it doesn't give up runs. It's one of those. It's just one of those venues that you don't have a bunch of foul territory. It's the polar opposite of Coliseum per se. So
Yeah, Coliseum is pretty big.
well, a lot of foul territory. Makes a lot of makes it tough. Yeah, on hitters.
So I guess that's it for the Manny's Irish Pub. Do you guys have any final thoughts? You want to do some plugs and promos here? Feel free. We can start with Steve.
I'll give out my free play if you want me to.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, that's right. I skipped over you because Rob left, and I thought.
Don't worry about it.
I apologize, Mr. Fan.
Don't.
I apologize.
No, apologize to me. Do something really bad before you start apologizing because that's not bad. People thank you for not letting me give them out a free pick. Well, my free pick, I'm going to do the same one I gave out on. I'm going to give the same. I'm going to give 2 of them. How's that? Over 2.5 tomorrow night. Over 2.5 turnovers on Chris Paul. I don't believe he's healthy, and if Holiday's on him, he will have 2.5 turnovers. You're going to say, Tony, how does he have 2.5? Okay, he will have 3 turnovers. That's the way. That's how I feel about that. I also like him under 33.5 on points, rebounds, and assists if Holiday's on him. And if Holiday's on him, and if it's going to be the same guys, these 2 guys, I like Booker over the points. I like a rinse and repeat of what we saw 2 nights ago. So or in Game 5s, I do like that. And one, let's just throw a third one in just for the heck of it. I like this Toronto game tonight. Toronto, with Ray pitching against Lyles. Listen, Lyles isn't a very good pitcher. He's not going to strike out a bunch of guys. However, he's got 4 quality starts in a row, or 4 out of the last 5. And nobody on Toronto, three players have seen Lyles in his career. 70 degrees of first pitch, 10-mile-an-hour wind blowing in. Those are early May conditions conducive to low-scoring games. Expect both of these pitchers to see 6 or 7 innings, and under 9.5 is a steal, in my opinion.
Like it. I like it. Big shout out to the chat room. James McGinnis here, suggesting that Steve might need a bigger jug there, dude.
Yeah, James actually a loyal viewer. He catches me and Tony Finn also on Friday nights, late night tonight on Sirius XM channel 204. So yeah, actually I'll be on at midnight, and then Tony at 1 a.m. Eastern.
Give that guy a medal.
And I just find it ironic that someone whose name has Guinness in it is commenting on a mug. So this is good because it's heavy, very heavy actually. Builds up my pitching arm, John. But it also doesn't tip over. I don't have to worry, knock on wood, about spilling it on my desk. So that's why you got to go with a heavy, heavy drinking glass when you're doing shows and have computerized devices and papers with secret notes all over the place. That's why the baseballs stay in the baggie, just in case I spill my drink. But,
disappearing ink.
Yeah, this is a great, great mug. It's heavy. It's literally probably a pound even when it's empty. I'm parched from talking to you guys for an hour. My goodness.
We know it's vodka. We know it's vodka.
Now, there's no lime.
Tequila.
I didn't put the lime in there. There's no vodka. It would have to have citrus in it if there's vodka.
Well, for the Open, I think one thing worth mentioning is in-game. So
John
Rahm, and we actually did talk about this. John Rahm was 7-1 before he even teed up. And I said, well, what happens if he doesn't start out real well? I mean, it is the Open Championship, and adversity hits at different times. Well, he kind of was, shitting the bed a little bit there, the front nine, and you could have had him at 35-1 through 7 holes.
Whew.
And
35-1. Like people were going, they were throwing the what's that saying? Throwing the baby out with the bathwater, or whatever it is.
Right.
They were throwing out the whole pond. He played 7 holes, and at that point, the betting public was saying, "You suck. You have no chance." Well, he shot 5 under today, and he is right there on the rim of contention. And at 14-1, I can tell you that is a bet that will make with at least a unit. So we're not talking pizza money. Mm-hmm. And I also like Dustin Johnson. I have both of those in a DraftKings lineup too. And I don't check DraftKings until Sunday because I feel if I look now, I'm going to jinx it. So I tried in my head, of the 11 lineups, how many do I have any with 6 guys getting through? And I just refused to look. But you know the guy, and I'll be honest with you, this is all math. And this is the power of models. Leaderboard. This guy's name is Van Tonder. Daniel Van Tonder. He is -6. Of the 279,000 entries in this one DraftKings event, he was selected 0.07%. So 0.7% of all entries had him. And I did.
You did? That's what I was going to ask you. That's what matters.
I did. But I don't know who he is. I researched him after seeing him come up time and time again with every single different variation of the model. And it's not rocket science. You look at the course and you assign just like Nick Borrman does on our shows. It's not you assign what is going to work. Is it going to be off the tee with bombs? Is it going to be tee to green? Is it going to be around the green? Is it going to be putting? And here it's definitely total tee to green in my opinion, and then putting. Putting is going to win this thing Saturday and Sunday just like it does every other time. And the guy that has the hot flat stick is the one that's going to be hoisting that jug.
You got to check your DraftKings lineups. You won't jinx yourself. You know that.
Yeah, can you believe I'm a baseball coach and I'm superstitious at times?
Well, no, I'm like that all the time. I don't like checking scores and stuff. I mean, I get that same feel, so I get that. But the DraftKings, I like checking it with NASCAR when I mess around with it. I like to see how it fluctuates. I like to see who other people had. And most importantly, I like to see those percentages that you just referenced because it helps you in the future because you have to have a little bit of game theory. Because when all things equal, if you're split between 2 guys, you want to take the one that is going to be less likely in as many pools because it's just a game theory thing. Because if you hit the right lineup along with 20 other people, you're going to split out that pot and end up winning hardly anything. So just like the lottery, folks, when you do the lottery, always play off numbers. Don't play 7, 11, or whatever because they all have the same chance of hitting, and you'll want to at least win the full pot. So play like 53 and all these ugly numbers. And they're like, well, it doesn't matter if 7, 11 hits, I want to win. Yeah, but that's not the right way of thinking. And, John, you get what I'm saying.
I'll be happy to split
Yeah, I see that. Tony's talking the square way right now. That's what I'm talking about. You're thinking like a square.
I'm a hedgehog, and I will be happy to split the Powerball with anyone who wants to split it with me.
Hey, I'll give on my way out here. I'll give a life tip here.
Okay.
Don't play two life tips. First of all, don't play the lottery. But second of all, if you play the lottery, the life tip would be do not play set numbers every time, because here's what happens. That 1 week you don't play them, that you don't get to the store on that Friday.
That's right.
And the $30 million jackpot hits, and you know those would have been your numbers because you've played them the other 50 times.
I agree.
That ain't good.
I agree with you.
Can you imagine living life the rest of your life like that? The one time you didn't go to the store to buy the stupid dollar lottery ticket, and then your numbers
It would
hit,
be as bad as hit. Is it
yeah, always do the auto pick or just do the blind draw, and dots and stuff. But anyway, auto pick, especially when the pot is big, because the lottery wants people to win. Then
don't play Pepper with a metal bat and 4-year-old kids.
Pepper. It wasn't quite Pepper. It was just like underhand tossing, instead of overhand.
Yeah.
Luckily, can you imagine how hard
Pepper.
I would have hit the ball if it had been overhand with some speed? That's the
yeah.
other thing. I roped like a small toss, like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
$400 baseball bats, folks. Before we came on, we were talking about they're worth every cent. Yeah. I couldn't understand how back could be $400 until you swing one. My goodness.
Alien technology, I'm telling
you.
Scary.
Does
guys,
Dean Marini still make bats?
Who?
Dean Marini?
I don't know. When I was growing up, it was Easton. That's how little I know about it still. I'm just getting into all
I
this
never ever used a metal bat. Never used one. That's how old I am. And even when we were playing softball, I did use them occasionally, but still, I prefer
I'm actually in the market for a wood bat as we speak, Tony. I was doing my research last night on that. After this incident, I was doing my research on a wood bat.
That's a great training tool, is use a wood bat for a
That's
kid.
what someone told me. That's actually exactly what I heard, John. Plus, they don't die. I bought one used about a year or two ago, and it's got no pop. I didn't know till last night also that these bats have a life in them, which I did not realize. Yeah. So they lose their pop apparently also. So I'm learning as we speak.
They have
and
to,
the last thing I will
go
conclude with is when I was 12, we were in the transition from wood to metal. And when a kid hit a home run with a metal bat, we actually among ourselves didn't count it.
Yeah, makes sense.
If it was a right-handed batter and it went opposite field, we didn't count that either. It had to be left field and it had to be over by a mile.
Wow,
that's pretty square too.
So that is very square.
Yeah,
but we had coaches like Bad News Bears sitting in the dugout and not paying attention to us. We stole bases when we wanted to. We did just about anything we wanted to do. Anyway, thanks guys for your time.
Stands, keeping everyone honest.
Yeah, I don't think I knew what a video camera was back then, but I do now. But anyway, thanks guys for your time. A great profitable Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And
thank you.
Same to your clients, of course. And that's like double the client base in a week. Or at least get 20% growth weekly. That would be great. So
Golden
on behalf
Cross,
of
man. Golden Cross.
Golden Cross, on behalf of the Golden Cross, courtesy of Steve Merrill Financial Astuteness, Tony Finn, myself, Rob Veno, and whoever else was on this show. May all the wins be yours.